Well, good greetings, saints and ain'ts and friends and foe and brothers and sisters. Good greetings. It is so wonderful to have you here tonight and welcome to the July 2nd, 2020 live broadcast of Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ. Our purpose is to bring to consciousness various subjects that impact and intersect with global peoples. Our goal is that you may be empowered to answer the call to action, thereby having an opportunity to experience your own triumphant Thursdays. And you don't have to wait until Thursday, you can have triumphant experiences every day. Our subject tonight is the value of the black dollar revisited. I anticipate that this will be a great evening with our guest, Ms. Simmie Marie Davis from Cleveland, Ohio, Mr. Rashad Bodiford from Lansing, Michigan, and Mrs. Bodiford, who is also from Lansing. It is a family affair tonight. We have two sisters and a son and a nephew. Before bringing them on, we invite you to share with your people that you have connections with the opportunity to come on board and join us. And also, if you would like to invite someone or many someones to do a watch party, that would be incredible. So, your friends, your family members, invite them to join us. And now we bring to you our guest, Miss Simmie Marie Davis from Cleveland, Ohio, Mr. Rashad Bodiford of Lansing, Michigan, and his mother and my sorority sister, uh, Mrs. Bodiford, Mrs. Gwendolyn Bodiford. It is so wonderful to have you back, Sister Gwendolyn and Brother Rashad. And it's so wonderful to welcome you, Sister Simmie, to revisit the subject of the value of the black dollar. And we have some incredible surprises for you tonight. But we'll hold on to those surprises until we get a little bit further down the road. So let's go back and recap our conversation 2 weeks ago when we were talking about when we were introducing to the audience the idea of taking action by not spending $1, not one, unless you are supporting a black business on the 7th of July. Now that's next week. And that's why we are revisiting this. And that's why we had talked about this earlier on, so that we could kind of get it in your spirit that the 7th of July is right upon us. And we are asking you to use your time to to review some Black history. That would be a good thing to do on the 7th of July. Look at our history. You know, it's not taught in our schools, unfortunately. At least it's not taught in the majority of our schools, and we tend to focus in on African American Black history 1 month out of the year. But you know what, folks? We are Black 24/7, 375 or 365, I think it is. So I think it would be a good time, a great time, to look at our history. One of our surprises will be bringing to us some Black music, and a little bit later on in the show, we're excited about that. But but we're also trying to get it in our spirit how powerful our pennies and our nickels and our dimes and our quarters and our half a dollars and our dollars are. And to try to develop a culture of investing, a culture of saving, a culture of buying black, and then if there's something left over, you can spend it. Let's have a little bit more conversation about July the 7th. Let's start with you, brother Rashad. Rashawn.
Okay.
Yes.
First of all, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Um, and I must say, I'm touched by the idea that you put forth to Black people to study on the 7th. I didn't know that was going to be a part of this, but I appreciate it. So I'm gonna plug a book. So this is from the Browder file, Anthony T. Browder. And if you're looking for a place to start, because as Pastor PJ mentioned, Black history is not taught in our schools, in our universities. Slave history is taught in our schools and universities, and Black history started way before slaves. So, and it's very important to know so that you have that attachment to Africans, African history. You know exactly what we did and when we did it, and how that has been used, where it shows up nowadays, and you know nothing about it. But if you got a chance, um, from the Browder File, this is actually the second book. It's a collection of essays, very um, easy to digest. Um, and I would recommend it for anybody who's trying to get a start. A
Okay.
bunch of references in there for other places that you can take your studies and research. But it's a really, really good start to learning um, Black history before slavery.
I thank you for introducing that. I didn't know that I was going to say it either. This is Holy Spirit, whom I call wisdom,
Hey,
and she just, as she brings it to me, I share it with you. Uh,
somebody said great minds think alike, man. All,
yes,
all great minds should do research first.
absolutely. Absolutely. An excellent idea. So what is your a reflection, Sister Gwendolyn, from the last time we talked, when we did this the first night? What would you like to bring forward from that night's conversation?
Well, I think for me, most important is we talked about Blackout 2020, which is July 7th, and we talked about the significance of unity, being able to unify and to come together around a single something, because as a people we're so scattered. We really need something to hone us in, to focus down on. And I remember, I don't even know who said it. It may have been a conversation after the show, and people were saying, well, what, that's not going to do anything. That's just like one day. That's not going to do anything. Well, there's a lot of research on that has come out on the importance or significance or failure of boycotts. And the one thing that is irrefutable is boycotts work best when more people actually do the buy-in. So it can't just be uh, just me by myself. That's why it's so important to have broadcasts like this and to put it out across social media. And actually, uh, television should be picking this up too, that this is something that everybody needs to buy into.
Yes,
There is power and strength in numbers. And
absolutely.
we're trying to have a voice, and we can only our voice speaks loudest when we all speak together and at the same time. No, it will not push a social change on that day or directly after it, but what it does do is it raises consciousness. It raises consciousness amongst the people. It raises consciousness, um, and I think I lost you there, but it raises consciousness amongst our people. It raises consciousness across the board in terms of in your city, in your state. And we're all coming together, and they're talking about the injustices that are taking place. They're talking about all of those kinds of things. We need to come together, deal with whoa, okay,
Okay.
come together and deal with an issue so that we are all on one page and we understand what is expected. The expectation is that we do not spend dollars on July the 7th unless you spend it with Black businesses, and unless there is an emergency that forces you to go elsewhere. But
Mhm.
the outcome will be one, our voice will be heard. We are raising social consciousness about the thank you. Oh, it's still there. Okay, we're raising social consciousness about what's going on, and we're lifting up an area where all of our people can stand together and say, I am Black, I have power, I have Black dollars, and you will hear my voice.
And as we know, yes, Brother Rashawn.
Yeah, before we get too far gone, I forgot to mention, and I wanted to give our IT Sue a chance to put this in the chat. There is a resource um, to help you guys support Black business and Black business only on July 7th. The Black Business Alliance of Greater Lansing has compiled a resource that everybody has access to, public access. It's a Google document. It's actually a Google spreadsheet. It's organized by um, sector, business sector. So if you need groceries on the 7th, you can go to the spreadsheet and find the Black grocer. If you need a T-shirt, clothes, you can go to the resource and find a Black clothing store, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to get that up early so that people have a chance. You'll have to get the link in the chat, but the link in the chat, I'm told, is clickable. You can go, you can peruse the resource early, take a look so you can be prepared when the 7th rolls around. Sorry,
Okay.
thank you.
No. That's fine. I do see the resource in the live comments, and the public can see that also. So feel free to click on that to go to the Google Docs, and then come right back. Once you've clicked on that, come right back.
There are a couple of businesses that did not get added to that spreadsheet, and I want to shout out Dr. Revis. I want to shout out Marlo Jackson. She's got a clothing slash jewelry business that she owns and runs called
And
Amazing
Dr.
Things.
Revis?
No, Dr. Revis is a dentist. He has a dental practice in Okemos. So
Great expectations. He owns his own franchise of that.
Great expectations.
And Sonia Revis is owner and operator of San John Travel. So it's a travel agency.
Okay. Maybe we can also get that in the live comment.
yeah,
Uh,
if not, I will try and amend whatever postings we have later with official information for those resources.
okay. All of the information that we can give out is good for us. Now, bear
Right.
in mind that this is in the Lansing area, but you can find out the African American and Black businesses wherever you are. Let's talk a little bit about Cleveland. What are some of the Black businesses there in Cleveland, Sister Simmie?
Well, first of all, I am an entrepreneur and I have multiple streams of income. So my business is called Seven Streams Consulting. I work with the ideapreneur. That's the person that has an idea and they want to launch their business. So I take them from ideapreneur all the way to entrepreneur and help them launch their businesses.
That's incredible.
Secondly, I'm a Mary Kay consultant. Many people know that. I have pages on Facebook for all of these things. You just go there, type in Simmie Davis, Mary Kay Independent Consultant, Beauty Consultant, and I do lives there. I am a vocalist, and as part of that, I'm also a manager. I've managed 5 bands over the last 10 years, and that's been very interesting with the COVID. You know, we can go out and do the things that we used to do. So I'm a jazz vocalist, and I also sing a little bit in every genre depending on what the occasion is. Just recently, we put together a community gospel chorus. And so that was really amazing because
Yeah.
we did a reenactment of Ma'afa, which is the Black Holocaust. And it was sponsored by a church here. And it's quite a production. If you've never seen it, if you ever see Ma'afa, you need to see it because it's all about the Middle Passage and how we got here. And they focus on one family and some of the things that happened to get them from slavery all the way free and to being landowners. So
So
it's
it's
a
MA.
beautiful, beautiful story.
What are the initials again?
Uh,
Ma'afa?
it, it's a word. It is a Swahili word. Maafa, and it's called Ma'afa,
And
which
so
is it's our Holocaust.
and
It,
so if
it,
we go to our
Ma'afa means
browser,
horrible thing. So uh, you can look it up. You can Google
okay,
it. And many
wonderful.
churches sponsor that uh, group to tour and come and do it at their church.
Well, we will certainly keep that in mind. I've got a 35th anniversary coming up,
Okay.
and right now we won't be able to do it in a timely manner around the anniversary because of COVID. But at some point in time, I'll be having a conversation with our pastor, the Reverend Lila Martin, and see if we can bring this to Trinity AME Church. Soror, what you think?
Sounds wonderful to me.
It sounds marvelous, also. And I'm going to send you a copy of my CD. Cut a CD a few years ago, and perhaps you can find creative ways of using it also. Okay,
That's great.
so we're talking about black businesses and black entrepreneurs. We have Black Entrepreneur Online, and we want to hear a little bit more about how you started that and a little bit more about your success story. We generally know that the first 5 years are pretty tough many times, and how you are managing to. You can give some advice to those who are listening as to how you are managing to stay afloat during COVID. That would be very, very useful information for individuals for African Americans and Black folks who are in,
Everybody.
yeah, who are in business, because it's pretty tough for many of us right now. And I think about that whenever I'm going to ask people for money for this show. I try to be very sensitive in my asking, because many of us are struggling, and God gets no glory out of me giving to a service and I can't pay my light bill. That just, and I feel the same way about tithing. I mean, if I give $100 to the church and my light bill is $99 and they turn off my light next week, well, there's no glory in that, for our Creator. And that's something that we always want to be certain that we're doing, is giving our Creator glory through the way we live and what we do and what we say, and so we'll get back to that. Why don't we pause, if you don't mind, for 2 or 3 minutes and ask you to give us a song of your liking.
A song?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I decided to do something a little different. This song is the only secular song that Mahalia Jackson, who is a very well known uh, singer, has ever sang. She always did gospel. She never did a secular song. This is a jazz tune, and this is also the only gospel intinged song that Duke Ellington ever wrote and played. So when they came together, that was something that was really powerful because you have two totally different genres, and as you know, sometimes church folks can be very, we don't do secular, and the secular like we don't do gospel. So this was a pivotal moment in the history of our people. The song is called "Come Sunday."
Okay,
Come Sunday.
before you share that with me, let's park here parenthetically and allow me to say to the listeners that there really is no difference between sacred and secular music. That's something that comes from plantation theology. I just wanted to say that there's no difference. It's all the same music. It just comes under different categories, but it's all sacred because it all comes from one source. Please.
Well, I don't have any music, and since you just asked me, I'm going to do it a cappella
Okay.
for you. Mm, mm, Lord, dear Lord above, God Almighty, God of love, please look down and see my people
Hmm.
through. God, dear God above, God Almighty, God of love, please look down and see your people through. I believe the sun and moon does shine up in the sky. When the sky is gray, we know it's just clouds passing by. The lilies of the valley, they neither toil nor spin, yet they will spring and come when spring is here. I believe the sun and moon does shine up in the sky. When the sky is gray, I know it's just clouds passing by. Lord, dear Lord above, God Almighty, God of love, please look down and see. Please look down and see. Come Sunday, yes, come Sunday, that's the day.
My goodness. What an incredible voice.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. And an incredible message come Sunday.
Yes.
My goodness. If you would, uh, Sister Simmie, post those businesses
Okay.
in the private chat so that they can be posted later in the broadcast. Would really appreciate that. And I was thinking while you were singing that hopefully we can learn something from our young people who are protesting, who are using their voice to make things changes in the community. Many of them may not know who Mahalia Jackson is, but she is in fact the late Mahalia Jackson. Um, has a theater named after her in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's called the Mahalia Jackson Theater. Uh, and we also have the Louis Armstrong Airport
Mm-hmm.
in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm suspecting that there will be other things named after African Americans, and that there are some things already named after African Americans. I'm certain that we have a Barack Hussein Obama. Um, I'm waiting for the statue for them to erect a statue, uh, and I'm hoping that they will change the bridge's name from Pettus to John Lewis. I believe that's correct. Is, does anyone know? Is it John Lewis?
John Lewis.
Yes, to John Lewis. And that, but through the protest of our young people, that there are a wide variety of peoples becoming aware of African Americans, African American history, African American icons. And I truly believe that this is just the beginning of us coming into a sense of, yes, my dollar matters. Yes, my talent matters. Yes, my gifts matter. Yes, I am intelligent. Yes, I am created in the image of goodness and the likeness of love. Yes, I am an apple in the eye of God. These affirmations are being, I think are becoming organic as our young people protest the systems and protest the ideologies and protest the theologies that have been holding um, the enslaved, that held the enslaved, those who were enslaved, and bringing us into a era where we will have our day in the sun. Shall we call it?
Let me just say something.
Please do.
You know, there is an African proverb that says, when an elder dies, a library burns to the ground. So we are invested in, we're looking at all these monuments and taking them down and thinking about putting others up. And that's pretty much bordering on idolatry. What we need to do, instead of talking to statues and buildings and bridges and so forth, I mean, those things are nice. But what we need to do now is we need to focus on bridging the elders with the young people. As the Bible says, every new generation will be wiser. You know, they know
Yes,
that technology, but also weaker. And we have
yes,
the strength that they need, and they have the skill set that we need. And we need
absolutely.
to start bridging that gap right now. We need to find some places to gather. We need to start businesses. If you don't do anything else, anyone that's watching right now, please go to irs.com .gov. Don't be afraid. Just go in there. That is the website for the IRS. You all need to know that the IRS is not a government. It's not affiliated with the government. Okay, even though it says .gov. It works for the government, but it is actually a private contractor. So you need to go in there and get something called an EIN, employee ID number, which is something like the social security numbers we have, but it is for your business. So I don't care if you're a hustle man or grind woman, or if you actually are an entrepreneur. You have to identify those things and make it real by getting the EIN. Did you know that it's free? Folks been charging, attorneys charge up to $150 to get that. And if you go to irs.gov and just type in get an EIN, it's free. Plus, when you get that number, what that does is it separates your personal income from any income you may earn in your business, your hustle, or your grind. Okay, so it's not that scary. You can get a new EIN every 24 hours, and it costs you nothing. You know, we have a store here that everybody laughs about. It's called LaSalle Furniture. This place has been going out of business like every 2 years. It goes out of business, and then it pops back up as LaSalle Boutique, LaSalle Salon. Everybody loves LaSalle, so they don't know what kind of financial issues this person has, but whatever it is, they pop back. You can do that every 24 hours. The other piece is we need to start to learn the tax laws and not be afraid of them. It's time. So during that time that we do this blackout on the 7th, I would love for people to start to educate yourself. Go on the website of IRS and just click all the sections. Nobody knows you're on there. You just go on there and find out what the tax laws are so you're not afraid. And so you don't turn your fine. One thing Oprah said, I don't always agree with Oprah, but one thing she said that I've always followed after she said it, because she's a billionaire. And if you want to make money, talk to the people who make money. And what she said was, always sign all of your checks and always read all of your receipts and invoices yourself. You might have a finance person, but I ran an organization for 8 years and I had 5 finance directors and 1 contractor. So wow. 6 in 8 years. You don't know what their background is, but you better know your money. You know, and we ran in the black for the entire 8 years I was there. When I got there, they had gone out of business and shuttered the doors because of mismanagement. And that they didn't have any money. So you got to learn money and not be afraid of money. We are a people of bartering. And there may come a time when we cannot buy or sell. And that will be bartering time. This is not that time. Now is the time to gather and harvest and bring your family together and stop spending money on ridiculous things. And if you really want your hustle, your grind to make a difference for your family, then be serious about it, because we don't have a history of lack. We have a very strong history in this country of entrepreneurs. Did you know that 75 to 80% of the people that have been lynched in this country were business owners? They were not just random people. This was an attack, just like the Tulsa attack, Rosewood attack, the Wall Street attack, all of Black Wall Street, all of those things. I could go down a list, but that would be a little depressing. But you got to begin to use your critical thinking skills and say, well, if we're not worth anything, why is everybody always after us? Why are they trying to shut us down? Okay, so on the 7th, you're going to see, it may not be every single person, every Black person in this country, but if we can get a critical mass to not buy from anyone that is not black. I'm not going to say people of color. I'm going to say black.
Thank you.
You know, if we could get that to happen, then you can begin to have a sea change, a move at the foundational level. Because let's face it, as Toni Morrison said, this issue with racism and discrimination is a problem with the oppressor and not the oppressed. They have something that they need to work through. We're starting to see it because we have technology. We see, people going berserk on the street and all that. All of that stuff it's never stopped since black people came here from another country. Never, ever, 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 ever stopped. We think we had a gap in the 70s and 80s because we were, Diamond and Back and Sunroof Top and all that stuff. We were still under attack. We were under redlining, unable to get financing for homes. When we did get homes, we were redlined into certain areas that were on top of landfills and things like that. There's so many things we can talk about.
Yeah.
But I want to emphasize is on that day, if you do nothing else, turn your hustle into a grind. Turn your grind into a business. Get your EIN. You want to have the name of your business, not your name associated with it. What that also does is it protects you from lawsuits and things like that. They can't attach your house, because they didn't like the way you treated them or whatever. It also gives you something. You have legacy to give to your children. We have a young lady here, BJ's Grill. She started out with a food truck, and then she now has 3 restaurants. Her entire family has a job there. She got an EIN and employed them. And there are tax laws that will protect you when you do that. That is why Trump said he is not going to pay taxes, because he does not have to. The law says it is your right as an American citizen to pay the very least taxes that you are liable for. That's what it says. But we don't know that because we never go in there because we're afraid. So we got to stop the fear. We got to stop the arrogance. We have all these organizations we're a part of and everything. It's just people. That's all it is. And we've got to stop dividing ourselves, because a house divided against itself cannot stand.
That's for
what
sure.
the word tells you. It can't stand. So we have to come together under one roof and begin to. I'm gonna tell you something. If you ever get time to read Proverbs, every business law you need is in Proverbs. Every one of them. Neither a borrow nor a lender be, and if you have to have contracts, and after 7 years, all of that is in there. The Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving earth. That's what it stands for. So
right.
We get in there and get the word so that we can move forward with this, because we're behind, but we're not unable. We may have been unwilling at times, but we're not unable to do this.
Well, and that's an important point. Don't protest unless you know what you're protesting for, and both ends of it, the why and then the outcome. Don't just jump in feet first without some kind of information. And if you don't have it on your own, there are plenty of people who can help you get it. And this is the age of information. Thank you, Raushawn. This is the age of information. And I dare say, Google is a wonderful thing, but reading is also very impressive, because then you're getting your spin on it, and you get your understanding at whatever level you are, wherever you are. And go ahead. But
I just want to piggyback on what Simmie was talking about. It is not that we are not able. I hear people say black people don't know how to run businesses. That's just factually incorrect. As was stated before, black businesses have been purposefully squashed in this country.
Right.
Black economics, black finance has been purposefully squashed in this country. So please don't harbor that mentality that we can't do this. We've done this before. We've done this many times before. And when it gets too big, they get shook. And so they come and they blow it up or they try to, kill it. What we have to do is continue to sustain, continue to push forward. And I think this show of solidarity on the 7th is what do we want to call a resurrection of the realization that we can do this. We have the collective power to get this done. And this, like my mother was saying, I'm sorry, Gwendolyn was saying earlier. I lost my point making a joke. Like she said earlier. Sorry, it's always fun when you got family on, man. It'll come back to me, but we can do this. The collective power is there. This is just the reawakening of the consciousness to show that we can do. Because there are people that don't know. They don't know about Black Wall Street. They don't know about Tulsa. They don't know that 75% of the lynchings were not just random, because you always hear the story, oh, he bumped into a white lady and so they killed him. That's not, they had reasons why they went out to kill the Black people they killed. It's because they were rich. It's because they was making it happen. So people who have businesses now or have that mindset to start a business, what do you call them? Ideapreneurs?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do it. We've done it.
Yes.
Go. That's a good use of the 7. Go study the people who've done it before, so so you can shake that mentality that we're not worth it, that we don't know how to do this or how to do this. That's garbage. That's
utter garbage. I want to put a plug in right now.
On that piece, because I made a note here that every riot, every demonstration that we've ever had, every one of them, and there have been many, everyone brought about fundamental change. And the one I'll focus on that a lot of people know is the bus boycotts, when Black people refused to ride the public transit system because they had to sit in the back and they treated poorly. That one rings really true with me, because I wouldn't have been born in Michigan, nor would my sister, nor would my nephew have been born in Michigan, had it not been for when my mother was pregnant with your mother, Raushawn. She was harassed on a bus and asked to leave in Texas. And my father stood up and said, stay where you are. She was 9 months pregnant with Gwendolyn. And so she said, stay where you are. They had just got a home. They had, he had just come out of the service. He was a sailor and he came out and had a nice GI Bill at that time, got a home. And when he resisted, they threw him off the bus and let her sit where she was. She was very, she was with child. And he walked all the way to the end of the bus line and waited for my mother to get off that bus. And when he did, they walked home and he told her the words that broke her heart. He said, baby, we're going to have to leave, because if we don't leave here, you're going to lose me. I'm going to die, because I will stand up until I die. My father was a stand-up man, and he ended up moving to Michigan, starting his own business. And then my mother eventually started her catering business, which turned into her being a production chef for the Stouffer Corporation. So we are products of all of this resistance. And that bus boycott that happened much later lasted 367 days. So imagine, people in mass were walking everywhere, to the store, to the jobs, to church. They walked. But guess what came out of that? The jitney driver. Jitney drivers came through, and you know who they were? They were the Black Uber and the Black Lyft.
That's right.
Yeah.
All within the community. So they came along and they kept their cars up and said, ma'am, I'll take you to your doctor's office. I'll take you to whatever. And that became a business in a Black community that was created out of need. So,
My. That's
we
amazing.
have to understand that we're not messing around. This is a strong and mighty people. Look at all we've come through in this country. If you just look at the real words of the Negro National Anthem, stony the road we trod,
That's
bitter
right.
the chastening rod, born in the days when hope, which was
Unborn.
unborn, was died, had died. So we have to look at all of the things we've been through, and we are still here.
Yes.
Superpower.
So,
Superpower.
and the other thing, we're gonna have to join up with the b-boys and the hip hop fellas and the rappers and the girls and the single moms that are at home hustling and doing what they got to do. We got to bring them out and say, how can I help you be
Right.
an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur? How can I
Well, I
help?
certainly want to use this program to be part of that. And believe it or not, we are down to the last 12 minutes. That time has just flown. And so I want to respond to your family having to leave Texas. I can certainly remember my mom sharing the story of her mother and father having to flee Georgia because someone from another neighborhood came by and said to my maternal grandmother that he wanted some of her chickens, and she said, "You may buy some of my chickens, but you cannot take any of my chickens." And of course, she told Papa when he came home, and he said, "Well, I tell you what, I'm going to spend the night up in the tree with the shotgun. And tomorrow morning, we are packing up and we are going north because and came to Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
And because we were not safe. We were not safe. And something similar happened to my dad, who grew up on the Varner plantation. And it's my intent to go and search that history of my father, because in his era, he was ashamed to be the son of a slave and to have grown up on a plantation. But I'm very proud of my father. I'm very proud of that heritage because he had no control over that. Um,
But Pastor PJ, before you
yes,
go any further, he
yes,
was the son of a person who was enslaved. He
correct. You're
was
right.
not a slave. And we've got to stop teaching our kids that
Yes,
we have slaves
yes,
as in our history. Those people were enslaved. There's a big
yes.
difference. If they were slaved, we wouldn't be where we are today. They were
Thank you.
enslaved. It's
Thank you.
a systemic kind of a thing that puts
Mhm.
a thumb on the neck of people or a knee and keeps them down. We've got to get terminology straight. And I don't care who you are, and I don't care what you think about the English language. You
Yes,
have to start using terms correctly because
yes.
it kills the mind. It
You are
breaks the
correct.
spirit.
You are very correct. Thank you. Words better could never be spoken any better than from an educator. Appreciate that
Okay.
very, very much. Well, as we move, I tell you, I don't know. I think we want to do this again. Maybe we could. Do you have the list of the link up for the places, African American Black owned businesses in Lansing? You had mentioned that earlier, Brother Raushawn.
I did see the link up in the I think
Very good.
that's the live comments section.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to go into the live comment section, it is there. You can check that out. Like I said, man, just take a look. And
There it is.
yeah,
Yes,
there
I
it is.
see it.
It's a lot to write down. That's why she put it in the live comments. Hopefully you can
Yes.
click
Yes.
it.
Very good. Very good.
Either
Well,
way, it's worthwhile to get prepped. Prep yourself so that in the event of an emergency, um,
yes.
you can go out, find what you need, and support Black-owned business instead of uh,
Sure.
being a consumer, letting those dollars go
Sure.
Right.
elsewhere.
And as you speak to your family and neighbors and whomever, don't speak like it's a horrible thing to do, like it's going to be so hard on that day. It's a very positive thing to do. And you will find that even though we may not see an immediate change, what we're doing is lifting a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing it to the surface. Our
Yeah.
voice is heard. Be positive about who you are and what you do. That's why I
Yes.
said before, be educated on what it is that you do and how you do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say with all of that that is going on right now, the forte is in the follow up. Don't
Yes,
get hung up
Okay.
in the action. Get hung up in the aftermath. What do we want? When do we want it? How are we going to get it?
right.
We get caught up because we are a soulful people. And so we get caught up in our feelings. And when you're in your feelings, you don't make good decisions.
Correct.
So we really have to come out of that and understand that maybe
Mhm.
what we're dealing with Black Lives Matter, for example, is deeper than what we understand. You
Oh,
Yes.
know,
yeah, share that, please, real quick.
it was founded by four Marxist women who believed in Marxism. And uh, if you look on their website, you will see that they talk about police brutality, but there is nothing there about Black people and honoring Black men. Um, you know, I believe the leader yesterday was killed, but she's dead now. The one who
Mm.
founded it. So we got to keep up with it and then look underneath because this country is a country of cover ups and violence.
Overt activity. That's
And
right.
so we have to pull the veil off and
Right.
begin to understand everything that we're doing. And I don't care. I mean, I don't mean to offend anybody, but it doesn't matter if it's a church organization or a frat or a sorority or a Black Lives Matter movement or the Poor People's Coalition. It does not matter. You
Know what
need
it
to know
is.
what it is that you're supporting,
Mm-hmm.
where your dollars are going, and if you don't
Mm-hmm.
get results, get out of there and go do something else. If you're in the NAACP, read their mission and make them do what they're supposed to be doing.
That's
Right.
right.
So that's our job right now. And so we can all do it and we can bring
That's right.
the skilled millennials with their stuff and we can make it happen faster. But we cannot let this go this time. We cannot, we're not living in a life of luxury. It's going to get worse. This has been strategic since we ever set foot on this, uh, on this land, and so it is not going to get better. It's going to escalate as the funds go down in the treasury, and we begin to see that there's no gold backing our dollars. It's going to be a push towards one world coins and so forth and currency, and people don't understand that. They don't even understand that
I don't
uh,
understand what's going on.
Gaddafi. That's why they killed Gaddafi because he was working on his own gold-backed funds for his
And
people.
one of the things that I want us to do, I mean, will not be the last time that we are on Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain
Mhm.
PJ. It sounds to me like we have a core group here who will come back and we'll talk about how this strategy was birthed and how it involved enslaving people, how it involved taking Native American land. Uh, let's just talk about the one world order. And perhaps we can get a couple of theologians to join us to
Yeah.
give their perspective. We found out from our administrator that we can now have 10 people at one time,
Wow.
and we may very well do that, and I'll be having conversation with you about that. But we are down to the last 3 minutes, and I want to thank you. I want to thank those of you who have listened, who have watched, who have invited others to watch this program. It really becomes more empowering as we spread the word that this is an opportunity for others to support an African American production called Triumphant Thursdays spreading the word and bringing others on board, letting us know of topics of interest that are of interest to you, letting us know if you would like to be on Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ. I want to thank.
Can I do one final plug?
Yes, ma'am.
As we do this, as we do Blackout 2020, can we get each one take 5 to the polls? Because I sent out to my sister and my son some information on the black vote for the last few elections, and we can be our own, and were our own worst enemies. So there's an election in August. It's just as important as the election in November.
Absolutely.
Go out, take 5. You walk in with 5 people. We have to start using some of the powers that we have and the voices that we can speak with. So I just want to put that plug in along with, the Blackout 2020. Voting is critical, and we just need. I mean, people are counting on if we make them mad, they won't go vote.
Right. Right. And you know
Very
what?
good. Very
For
good.
those people that say that voting doesn't matter,
Oh, it
there's a
matters.
group of folks that say, "Oh well, I don't go because my
If
vote
it didn't matter, they would not be so.
who they're going to get." And I'm gonna pose a challenge to those people. I want them to
Hey,
respond.
you've got 1 minute, sis.
If the vote means nothing, why have they been suppressing voting registration? Why did it change
Thank
the
you.
poll? Why have they invested millions of dollars in faulty voting machines and restricting people of color? Why would they do that if our vote means nothing? Ask
That
yourself that.
is the question of the hour. We want to thank our administrator, Pastor Sue,
Yes.
Fellowship of Affirming Ministries National Youth Minister, founded by my pastor and our prelate, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Bishop Yvette A. Flunder. We also give a shout out to Pastor Sue's pastor, the Reverend Dr. and Bishop elect Vanessa N. Brown, Rivers of Living Waters, United Church of Christ, New Jersey, and New York. And we invite you to check out our prophet, Tawana Guest Brown. She is the First Lady elect of Rivers of Living Water, United Church of Christ, New York, and New Jersey. And she is live on Thursday afternoons at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to remind you again to join the Lansing NAACP or your local NAACP chapter in your area. And as Sister Simmie has already advised us, by all means, make us accountable. Make us accountable.
Yes.
Plan to register and plan to vote for the August event
Yes.
and the November event. I believe you can still request a mail-in ballot. When you pray for yourself that you may receive the joy of heart, peace of mind, and the hospitality of God. Also, please, for this program, Triumphant Thursdays, sponsored by Space for Grace Without Walls, United Church of Christ, Lansing. If you would like to be on our show, send me an email including your name, your subject, and your contact information. And let me just park here parenthetically and share with you that our August show, the entire month of August, will be on a book titled Raising Hell. You got to get that book. The author is going to be on that show, and we're going to talk about, can a loving God really have a place beyond the reach of mortal care? called hell. If you would, as this time together blesses you, bless us financially and support Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ at your level of giving. We invite you back next week when we will be talking about how I survived domestic violence with the Reverend Dr. Crystal Walker, author of Silence is No Longer an Option. Until then, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. Why? As Sister Simmie said earlier, the answer is in Proverbs.
Yes.
As a person thinks, so is he or she. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.